Live NFL trivia every Tuesday night on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come show off your football knowledge and have a chance to win cash prizes. Check the link in the description to find out more. And now, on with our feature presentation. Super Bowl week can be hectic. With all the chaos and all the distractions, it can be tough for players to focus and stay locked in on the moment. I mentioned this in a previous video of mine involving Terry Bradshaw at Super Bowl XIV, which you can check out in the upper right corner. But when John Madden was the head coach of the Oakland Raiders and led them to a victory at Super Bowl XI, he said, "I always figured that the team with the fewest complaints always won the game. If you're caught up in off-the-field controversy surrounding the game, you're going to lose more often than not." If people knew John Madden's advice, then at Super Bowl XXXIII, everyone would have placed their life savings on the Denver Broncos, because the Atlanta Falcons were not ready for the moment at all. I'm not even talking about the infamous incident of safety Eugene Robinson getting arrested the night before the game for soliciting a prostitute. That incident is pretty well known, especially considering the irony of Robinson winning the Bart Starr Award earlier in the day for his outstanding character. I'm talking about an incident that nobody seems to remember, because if we look at that Madden quote, then the Falcons lost this game literally the moment they stepped off the plane. And this is the story behind the infamous plane controversy that grounded the Dirty Birds. First, we need some context leading up to this flight. In 1998, the Atlanta Falcons shocked the football world. No one was expecting them to do much of anything that season. The team went 7-9 the year before, and was 2 years removed from a 3-13 season, where they looked like one of the worst teams in football. This was a team that hadn't won their division since 1980, and had never made it to the conference championship. Yet under the guidance of head coach Dan Reeves and quarterback Chris Chandler, roughly a decade into his career suddenly becoming good, the Falcons had their best season in franchise history, finishing 14-2, while being 4th in the league in total offense and total defense. And after they stunned the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship, they had advanced to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. This game against the Denver Broncos had tons of storylines that were pre-built in. The writers didn't have to try too hard to manufacture drama for this. You had John Elway playing in what everyone knew at that point was his last game. You had Dan Reeves facing his former team, as he spent over a decade in Denver and made it to 3 Super Bowls. You had the bitter feud between some of the holdover players on Denver and Reeves, as the end of his tenure was a pretty sour one. As a side note, if you want to see a video on a game that Reeves coached during that final season he had in Denver in 1992, and a really bizarre strategy he had, then click the card in the upper right corner. You had the feud between Reeves and Broncos head coach Mike Shanahan, since Reeves fired Shanahan from his offensive coordinator position in 1992 for insubordination. You had Terrell Davis, who ran for over 2,000 yards and led the league with 21 touchdowns, looking to cap off the greatest season by a running back of all time. And of course, you had the Falcons playing in their first Super Bowl in franchise history. On Sunday, January 24th, 1 week before the game, the Broncos touched down in Miami. The flight was normal and was everything you might expect. Denver had been there before, and they knew what they were doing. There was no drama whatsoever with the flight, as is the case with 99.9% of team flights anywhere, including the Super Bowl. With the Falcons, though, that was an entirely different story. Before talking about the flight, we have to talk a bit about Dan Reeves. He had no luck in the Super Bowl. When it came time to getting his team ready for the big game, he fell flat all the time. At Super Bowl XXI, the Broncos got clobbered by the Giants. At Super Bowl XXII, the Broncos lost to Washington after arguably the most dominant quarter in NFL history. And at Super Bowl XXIV, the Broncos played in what has to be the worst Super Bowl of all time, when they lost 55-10 to the San Francisco 49ers. Reeves tried altering his strategies every time. At Super Bowl XXIV, knowing that Denver left for the Super Bowl on Monday the last 2 times, he decided to switch it up and leave on Sunday. At Super Bowl XXIV, knowing that Denver covered the game plan in practice and meetings the week of the game the last 2 times, he decided to implement the entire game plan in Denver before the team even touched down in New Orleans. As Reeves said, you learn from what you've done in previous Super Bowls when you weren't successful. You try to assess what you did and try to make a change to make a difference. Seems smart enough, right? Well, he went one step too far in the eyes of some Falcons players with the change he implemented on the flight down. When the Falcons flew down for Super Bowl XXXIII, the Delta plane was 20 minutes late. No big deal. But then when the plane touched down, Reeves decided to do something interesting. Instead of deplaning like a normal person, front to back, Reeves asked that Pro Bowlers and 10-year veterans deplane the jet first. Reeves viewed it as a sign of respect to the veterans that had waited their whole lives to get to this point, especially guys like kicker Morten Anderson, who was 38 years old and was playing in his first Super Bowl ever in his 17th season, and quarterback Steve DeBerg, who was on the first Super Bowl team of his career after getting drafted all the way back in 1977. This caused a controversy. Wide receiver Terrence Mathis had an incredible 1998 season, where he had 64 receptions for 1,136 yards and a career-high 11 touchdowns. Other than his Pro Bowl year in 1994, where he finished third in the league with 111 receptions, the 1998 campaign was easily the best of his career. However, he was not a Pro Bowler, nor was he a 10-year veteran, as he was in his 9th year. And he was not happy about what Reeves did. He didn't like the fact that some players were receiving preferential treatment. As Mathis said, "We came this far as a team. We should be treated as a team. No one is better than anyone else. The Super Bowl isn't about Pro Bowlers and 10-year vets. It's about 53 guys." Safety Eugene Robinson, who qualified under this criteria, was happy about the deplaning, saying that Reeves was smart and let those guys get off first to show leadership. And the guys like Mathis will get over it, because it's only a deplaning. Reeves had no comment on the whole thing. Now you had Playgate going on. Literally, as the Falcons touched down for the Super Bowl, there was a civil war between those that liked Reeves' decision and those that were strongly against it. If you're having issues about how guys are leaving a plane, that's a bad omen. Mathis was yelling at Reeves, saying, "We're a team. This is not the time to think as individuals." Again, not the best sign for how that Super Bowl week is going to go. And sure enough, John Madden's quote that I mentioned earlier was right. The Falcons were woefully outmatched in this one, as the Broncos won 34-19, in a game that was nowhere near as close as the final scoreline indicates. Was Playgate the reason that the Falcons lost this one? No. The Broncos were the better team, and if the Falcons deplaned normally, the Broncos were still going to win that game. But this whole controversy should serve as a lesson to coaches who make it to the Super Bowl. If you have to deal with a bunch of needless distractions leading up to the game, odds are you've already lost. Be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, and subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at JarGator9 and subscribe to 60-Second NFL History on YouTube. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping with the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. So you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.